How is everybody doing today on this Tuesday? We are coming in live from Fayetteville, North Carolina. It is a cloudy noon EST, and we have a beautiful mastermind today, guys. I'm gonna give a few moments to let everybody get piled in here. As always, we've been having some good referral connections. Let's drop where we're coming in, where we're tuning in from in the chat. I know we're coming up towards like third quarter of PCS season, so I know there's still some referral opportunities out there. All right, Joe.
And you'll have to forgive me. I'm not sure how to do the chat.
Should be like a little chat box in the bottom right-hand corner if you are on, I think, like the web browser. Let me see, because it should have, of course, at the very bottom, you'll see like the red end call and all the other buttons. But if you look even farther right in the actual corner, there should be like a little chat with everyone button. Do you not see it?
I don't.
Okay.
And I'm not sure why. But I'm in Phoenix.
Okay. Phoenix,
literally,
Phoenix.
Yes, we are like 20 minutes from Luke Air Force Base.
Okay, that's awesome. I see Britlin's coming in from Phoenix as well.
That's my daughter.
Okay, awesome. Sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
And then we got Antoinette, Robbins Air Force Base, Warner Robins, Georgia. Awesome, guys. 3 more moments and we will get started. How's the weather where everybody's at? It's been kind of crazy here in North Carolina recently.
It's hot.
It's a
that's the only way to describe it. It's hot.
Yes, ma'am. And you're coming from Georgia, so I know you understand the humidity issue that we're going through right now.
Yes, I'm sweating right now.
I know that's right.
Phoenix is hot as well.
So, like in Phoenix, is it more of a dry heat? Because I heard y'all get really hot. Like,
Yes, it is really hot in Phoenix too.
Oh my gosh.
It's hot and wet here though.
We experienced 74% humidity the last few days. And I can tell you, I was just like, okay, I'll take my dry heat back. I won't complain. But yeah, we're, I think this week, our hottest this upcoming week is going to be 113.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Oh my goodness.
I can handle about 105 and then it just starts getting doggone hot.
Right. Exactly. And with that humidity involved, it really is like trying to breathe air through a straw. It is, and then just the swampy feeling, it's horrible. All right, let's see. All right, I just added some more people in the chat, guys. Drop where you're coming in from. We're kind of talking about what the weather's doing here recently. It's been a little crazy before we get started. Got about 2 more minutes before we jump into this with Miss Michelle coming out of Las Vegas. Okay. Got a couple more people. We'll go ahead and do this thing. Pacific Northwest. Danielle's coming from Wyoming. And coming from Southern Maryland. Okay. We got a little bit of everywhere today. Okay. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started today. All right, today we have our lovely Michelle Stinn. She is one of our own here at EXP. She has recently joined. Have you came up on your year yet, or you still got a couple more months?
Oh, no, I got a long time. I just joined in April.
In April? Okay, so you're still fresh. Well, it's awesome. So she's fresh to EXP, but she is no spring chicken when it comes to, military and VA loans and helping those that have served us. She has several years of experience and knowledge. If you were to check out her Facebook profile, you would see that she is she's an educator. Okay, she is not scared to make videos, really walking people through the process, which is one thing I love about her. You know, some agents, they can't get in front of that camera, and Michelle has embraced it, and she's really providing a lot of value, especially to our military community. So, and if you did not see, you know, Michelle was on one of our past episodes. You know, she's involved with F1 racing as well. You know what I'm saying? She's out there on the track, you know, so that's absolutely crazy. Today, she's going to be talking to us about the LES statement. Everybody who works with military buyers, in military in general, you know how important that LES statement is. So she's going to go from top to bottom and really explain to us, you know, what it is and what to look for when you're helping your buyers and you're helping, you know, your military personnel. All right, so Miss Michelle, I'll go ahead and let you take the floor. First and foremost, Miss Michelle, tell us a little bit about, you know, what your business looks like today. You know what I'm saying? How long have you been in the business, and how much of your business is military?
Okay, well, good morning. It's actually morning in Vegas. It's 9 a.m. in Vegas at, yes, 110 degrees. So, so I know what Melissa's saying, 130, but we don't get any rain. Anyway, 30 years, I was a broker for 30 years. Actually, I still have my license in Colorado and here in Las Vegas, Nevada. And in April, I joined EXP. And as far as military goes, to give you an example, in 2025, I did 86 transactions, military rentals only, not including purchases. So I almost fainted when I saw that. I'm like, oh my gosh. You know, I was just like, holy Toledo. The cool thing, and that's kind of why the LES became my friend, and I'll explain that. So my dad was Army, but I was not an Army kid, and I'm not an Army spouse or military spouse. Unfortunately, I love our military, very military dedicated. I'm with VA Rep. If anybody's heard of that, you can join in your community. Yep, Melissa knows. It's only $99 a year, but you can get real involved and you can learn a ton about military with the VA Rep. So, but yes, EXP since April, love it. I should icon next month. Yep, my next 4 closings should all be done by next month. So I should icon by next month. So that's what my business looks like today. The military right now is mostly rentals, and well, that's not true. Okay, I'll give you a quick story. Happened, what are we in? July, June. So it was June. So they came out, they had three dogs, 2 cats. That's what it was. And Vegas is great with pet rentals, but they're not that many. And the HOAs in Las Vegas are horrendous. They're not a bad thing, but they're so particular. So with rentals in Vegas, just the way it's done, and because I love our city, but it's super fraudulent, incredibly fraudulent in Las Vegas. And so I always call ahead of time to make sure that the properties don't have you can't say available, pending applications is what you want to say. And I always say, can you please check with the HOA, even if the owner will accept those pets? So my military family and I, actually it was the husband, and he was coming into Nellis, and she was still in Georgia. Actually, I heard somebody was from Georgia. So he was still in Georgia, or she was, with the kids until they found the house, et cetera, et cetera. And we go see the first house, and it was okay. The second house was great. They went ahead and applied. Now at the second house, I'm like, we won't have pet issues if you purchase, and don't forget, you can purchase with zero, you have no down payment, and with the market right now, I can get you closing costs. And so I didn't sell, I just informed. And sure enough, this is the coolest thing ever. And for all of us working with military, they especially, our new military, active military, they have so much stuff getting thrown at them. They don't understand they have this phenomenal benefit to buy. And out of those 86 just rentals, I haven't looked at the numbers because I was doing something for EXP. Probably 28 of different rentals I turned into purchases, which guess what? That means in 4 years, I have theoretically in 4 years, I have 28 listings. If I stay in touch and they don't keep them as rentals, right? And some just can't, and some just they're too young in their life and they don't want to keep them as rentals. They just want to get their equity and move on. And so that's where the LES piece came in with me, was with that. But anyway, we ended up closing on with the family, 21 days. We found them a house. And this is the best part, because you don't hear this anymore. Remember, 30 years in real estate, it used to be easy to say, oh, it's cheaper to own than rent. That's not the case in Las Vegas right now. Hasn't been for the last probably 6 years. I think before COVID it was, but the last 6 years, that's not the case. So you can't say that anymore. He actually got in, because we got enough closing costs to do buy downs and everything. He was $200 less than rent, with zero out of pocket. And they had, it was just, somebody said I need to do, actually, Caleb, I need to do Facebook, TikTok stuff with the cowboy hat. And I actually have a red, white, and blue one, and tell that story. Anyway, when you get, especially the ones that are real young or they haven't been off base, they don't look at their LES. So before I continue, has anybody here, I guess, just so I know, has anybody here ran into the situation where they needed to be able to read the LES? I can't see the notes. Caleb, do you see anybody on there that they have?
I'm saying, I know I personally have, especially working with as many military buyers coming through Fort Bragg, especially when we're dealing with, complicated situations and scenarios. Especially with some of our younger guys who get, into the military and want to make some crazy decisions at first. So
they don't know how to read it. They don't know how to read it. So what happened? I received an LES for 21 years. I'm good. Joe said, I'm good. But some of these kids, even some of the older adults who've been in 10 years and that, they don't even know, they don't know. The other dilemma we run into, right, is with I know lenders that they're good with VA, but you get the listing agents, and they don't understand, when you go, hey, I've got somebody, well, we'll say on the rental side again, they're BAH and they're this and that and the other, right? And they're BAS and blah, blah, blah. And they don't understand that that's not taxed, that they not only get their military pay, they get, the old term is rations, right? They get their food and some expenses too. So depending on how frugal, we'll say somebody is, or if there's a second income, it's all tax free. And then you get two military people, right? If you get a married military couple, you get two spouses, then they get, I can't even think of the word, but they get the pay, dependent pay. They get dependent pay on top of that. So they don't understand that when it goes to the lending side, I mean, they're way overqualified for when they purchase something. So anyway, so the LES, so it, as everybody probably already knows, it stands for Leave and Earnings Statement. And in the equivalent of this, in civil terms, it's your ADP. It's your W-2 for the military. So an LES is your W-2 for the military. So our goal today is to demystify the military income so that you can write strong offers or have good conversations with your lenders, and you can build instant credibility with your buyers. Because if you, as you know this, especially not being, now Caleb can't say this because he's got military family coming out his ears, but like, for example, I don't. And for me to be that successful with military, I need the lingo. And if I don't know something, right, I go, I got a best friend that moved out here now, and I'm like, Kim, what does this mean? Tell me what this means. I can't remember the acronym for this. And she's so amazing. And she'll break it all down for me and tell me, because she's 20-year career military. For her husband, he's in Department of Defense now, DOD, right? So anyway, so that's our goal today. The LES matters because it shows what they make, right? And Caleb will pull up a screen where it's way more complicated. There's 8 locations. So for example, renter, what's that?
Did you send it on over?
The email?
Yeah.
Okay. So when he pulls this up, here's why it's super important. And again, with renters, to turn them into buyers, is they don't know what they make. And so if I say, what is your BAH, they might know, or I've actually dealt with the spouse and they're like, I don't know, the money just goes into the account and we live on base. And, I've built that trust where I'm like, okay, let's pull this up. Or I talk to other agents when they're doing the rental. I can't believe I have to tell you this. There was one agent on a rental and I said, yep, because in Vegas, if they're military, they automatically get the property. I mean, literally, you're going to faint. I had military. Their score was like, oh, it was so bad. It was like 440 because their car had been repoed. They weren't paying their bills. They were trying to get a business up and running for the husband. So her money was basically paying rent. And they're like, we're never going to get anything because we have terrible credit. And I said, well, let me see your LES, right? And she had phenomenal money in the LES, and her house payment, I think that was Georgia also, was never late. And because Vegas is so heavy military, not like maybe parts in the East, but Vegas has 2 bases with Creech and Dallas, that I was able to show the LES and we got them in to a rental. When they say here, a lot of rentals say you need a credit score of 640 plus or 650 plus, and I got them in the 400s because
Michelle,
yeah.
really quick, I don't mean to cut you off. Check, resend it to me. Check the email address that I had sent you and send it over one more time. I'm not seeing it.
What? Right. Oh, okay. Sorry. It's just easier if you guys can see this because it's, Let me make sure. Sorry, everybody. Any questions in the meantime while I'm looking this up?
And I'll go ahead and get those going. I know that Vet Homes asked what the LES was, and we covered that, the leave and earnings statement, basically the good old W-2 for our military. Let's see.
Yeah, no, I sent it to the Yeti.house.
Yep. Caleb at the Yeti.house.
Yeah. Did it go to junk by any chance? Oh, wait.
Yep, it did actually. Wow.
Okay. All right. So we're not crazy. Well, we might be crazy, but at this moment, we're only semi-crazy.
We're all a little crazy. We're real estate agents.
We're real estate crazy. Okay, so that's kind of why we know, and then I can show them, now here's the next thing. As you all tell Caleb in the chat, because, maybe I can see the chat. How many people have had somebody move into your community and they don't know what their new BAH is going to be? They're like, oh, well, so for example, in Georgia, I want to say, so somebody in Vegas will make 2,400. In Georgia, I want to say their LES was something like 1,580. It was quite a bit different because Vegas is a lot more expensive. Yep, Mary said all the time. Oh, good, I can see the chat. So you know that. A lot of these guys don't know how to do it, right? I'll say, oh, call your base, call your white shirt, whatever. And sometimes it's just, I'm like, I gotcha. And you can go in and you can Google it, right? You can Google, you guys, actually AI probably knows it better now too, but you can go into Google, you can ask them what their, hold on, I'm pulling this up here. Sorry, I thought I shut that off. So you can ask them their rank, right? And you can go into Google or AI, put in if your city, and then if you're, just say, I have an Air Force at 04 and sorry, I have Air Force, officer 04, and what are they going to make in Vegas? And then that way, when they're filling out their applications or they're talking to the lender, especially if it's a newer lender that we haven't maybe used, right? Maybe they found a lender that they like, then they can talk intelligently about that. And I always tell them to put their new BAH on their applications for, now maybe not necessarily the lender, to talk to the lender and see what the lender wants, because every lender is different. But as far as the rentals go, I say put in your new one and then put in your notes, because when they, again, a lot of these places don't know how to read the BAH. So they're like, it matters, but it doesn't matter. Does that kind of make sense?
No.
That way you and your client know how to communicate to the person that they're trying to get the loan from or the rental from. So I love this, and Caleb, you're more than welcome to send this out to everybody because it gives the acronyms on there. You'll see it, the leave and earnings statement. What I should put together is, and I know Caleb's got a force of 1,000 over there, but I should put together what this means in civilian terms, because not all of us are either in the military anymore. I mean, if you have been, I'm sure you know all this, but some of these people that have been in 4 years, the family, or, their third marriage or whatever, I'm kidding, their 10th marriage, no, whatever, their second marriage, or if their spouse wasn't with them during this time, they don't understand what these things mean. Anyway, so you've got all your acronyms there, your basic allowing for housing, yep, and then the BAS, and you probably already know this, that's your rations, that's your food, those kinds of things. And then your ETX, your expiration of term of service, so you guys can read through all that. So you've got that on there. And then you've got your different, I had to pull it up bigger on my phone because it's so tiny. So you've got your big three, right? Your base pay, which is your length of service. And then you got your allowance, which we covered, and then your housing. So, and it's different for every city. Just because they get that, that's not right. It's different for every city. So I can go down too. If you go to a different community, you can go down, not just up. Then, of course, you have your special pays. You've got your hardship duty. You've got your assignment incentive, your hazardous duty. Now, special pays being that they're temporary, sometimes your lender, depending on how much they have special pay, the lender may not be able to take that into effect. So if your military says, if you're active military, your vet said, well, not your vet, but your active military says, oh, I've got all this extra pay and hazard pay and all that. If it's not something they do year after year, if it's not super consistent, if it's, again, like a TDY, your lender may not take that. And your rentals aren't even going to know what it is. We don't even care for the rental piece because they're going to go off your BAH, right? Because they don't understand. And you don't want to be telling them that they're flinging all over the country, because I can't remember, and Caleb might remember this, there's an article, a military article, that forces a rental company to release them if they get transferred, if they get PCS'd, or, they have to go out TDY, whatever, for any length of time, they can get out of the rental. And unfortunately, it is in the lease, correct? But that does not mean, so I'll give you an example. I follow a lot of the PCS Facebook groups. So there was a family, I'm going to say it was in Hawaii. I was following this. In my opinion, the military family was wrong. I love military, but they were in the wrong. So they were PCSing in August. They tried to get out of their lease in April. The management company wasn't going to give them their deposit back, and they were charging them. They weren't going to let them out to August. So let's say it went from November to, I think it was like October to November, something like that. But they had till November, and they were getting PCS'd in August. So the property management company said, yeah, we'll let you out in, say, July to get there by August so you meet your orders, but we're not letting you out in April. Why? Like, it doesn't take you 4 months to PCS. Usually, as you guys know, they get 10 days and maybe 5 days of driving, 4 days of driving. They get 10 days on base to figure out where they're going to live and 4 days of driving, right? So they don't get 4 months. And unfortunately, sometimes that depends. You may have school en route. Yeah, true. That does depend. But my point being is, even though it's in the lease, technically, according to the military articles, they have to let you out to get there to PCS. They don't have to let you out early because it's inconvenient for the school and the family. That's the catch. Let you out, yes. How early is, they don't have to let you out super early. So that's why, maybe, because I'm sure a lot of you have ran into where one person goes out, right, and the other person stays back with the children because, yes, of the schooling. Okay. So we've got, let's see. Oh, okay. So we've got we also have on here. So first is your base pay, your BAS, your BAH. Now your base pay is taxed. I'm sure everybody knows that. Your base pay is just like if somebody went to work on a W-2. Yep, thank you. Base pay. That's what you would get. That's taxable income. Just like if they were a civilian going to work for a W-2. Then their BAS and BAH is not taxed. It is not taxed. And to be honest, I don't, unless Caleb knows, I don't know what advanced debt is. That I couldn't tell you. I haven't.
I'm not familiar with that.
What's that?
I said I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, I don't, in this example.
It can be a couple of things. If you PCS, sometimes you get a tax-free loan that has to be repaid upon your PCS. Like once you get there, they start taking the money out. But you can get a tax-free loan when you get ready to PCS if you accept that.
Okay.
Oh,
That's
But it's
good.
any debt. It can also be for education, right?
Okay.
Because I mean, now I don't know what they're doing because I've been retired for over 12 years now, but that we had to, before we went 100% on our education, we were 75 and 25, where 75 the government would pay, 25 we would pay, and if you don't pass that class, you got to pay that money back. Yeah. So.
Oh my goodness. That's crazy. Okay.
Thanks, Antoinette. That's awesome. No, that's huge. I actually forgot about that you could do that, but I didn't realize that's where it showed up. So thank you. That's awesome. I appreciate that.
And one more caveat: if the military overpaid you, right, they'll take that back quick, fast, and in a hurry. But if they owe you, it takes a while. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Hey, it's government, unfortunately, right? It's yeah, no, don't get me started on that because I've heard some of the living conditions for some of our
next 30 you want to pay that.
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. So okay, so we've got that. So there's that. So if they want to know what they're getting, that's where you can kind of start. All right. And then you've got your taxes and all these breakdowns. So the lender is going to look at this section 2. That's what the lender is going to look at. Any rental companies is not going to care about that. All right, let's buzz over to, let's see, there's nothing in 3. Okay, so go up to number 4 there. Yep, 4. That tells you what branch your military person is in. Okay, so this one happens to be Air Force. And then go down to number 5. Yep. So just like on a typical W-2, it's just there's more acronyms, of course. However, what your lender is looking at is your wages year to date, your wage period, right? That 5 and 6, they're not going to really look at. A lender isn't, but 5, a lender, that's what they're going to look at. And then your 7, your Roth plan and all that. So you guys probably already know this. The military has something like a 401k for civilians, but it's called your TSP. And like a 401k for civilians, I'm not sure how many people know this, but the TSP can also work like this, same as a 401k, a TSP, which means, yes, you need to, the lender will look at total entitlements. Yes. So under the TSP, the thrift savings, so under civilian on a 401k, you can borrow to purchase a home. And the same works for your TSP, your military 401k, can sometimes be drawn on for now remember, there's no down payment. However, also remember, with military now, there is no max loan, right? As long as so that means if you go over what your entitlement is, so let's say your entitlement, I don't know, I'm going to be 15,000. Say it's 15,000, but in this particular home, it's going to be, your down payment would have to be, I don't know, your entitlement would go in and it's going to be 22,000. So that $7,000 still has to come out of that active military person's pocket. They may not have $7. Usually if they're doing that, they do. They have the 7,000. But if they don't want to use their savings money, they can go in and tap into this. Now, as far as timing goes, I've never had anybody who needed that. So on a 401k, it's usually you need a signed contract to purchase. In every state, it's a different name, right? Colorado's contract to purchase, Nevada's RPA, residential purchase agreement, whatever your state calls it, you usually need it signed by all parties before you can request that money. Because we're still all humans and nobody's trustworthy. Ha, kidding, but not kidding. So they want to make sure that that money's not going to go to their vacation to Disneyland, right? They want to make sure that money's actually going towards a house, and you have to prove it. And then there's a time frame. So you just need to check on that time frame. So let's see. Now we go down to so you got your all that. Okay. Any questions so far? No?
Got any questions? Anything you want to add on to what we've talked to so far?
Yeah, add-ons would be great too.
Yeah, the
ping
one
us in.
thing you said that the lender, he's going to look on that federal line, your line 5 for the total income. That's the worst place for him to look because that's your taxable wages, not your actual wages. But if you scroll all the way to the right and go to the up to the top, in that section right there, you see total entitlements of $22.60 and 11 cents per month. That's the spot they need to look at because when somebody looks at a W-2, they're looking at your gross income. But in the military, we separate all that stuff. So the total entitlement is how much revenue that individual's getting paid in that month. But the total taxable, you removed all those non-taxable items from it. So that's the one that needs to be paid attention to.
You are correct. Thank you for clarifying that. Yes, that was my mistake and you are totally 100% correct. So thank you, because you're right, because we talked about non-taxable income, where that side is taxed, this side is everything. You are totally correct. So thank you for pointing that out. I do appreciate that. And that brings up a really good point too. I did have my lending license in my 30 years. I had my lending license for 4 years. I wanted, like, oh my God, it was the most horrific thing ever. On the real estate side, we get to actually deal with people, help people, talk to them, right? Explain how they can use their military benefits, what the difference between long-term renting and purchase. I'll give you another quick example, and it kind of pertains to this too. So let Caleb know, like in a thumbs up, if you've ever done this. So when military move, when they PCS, we all know it's approximately, depending on the city, right? But in Vegas, it's $7,000 out of pocket for a normal 3-bed, 2-bath home. We're not talking excessive. We're talking normal. So if you've got a BAH of 2,200, or that's what your rent is, that's automatically 4,400 because you've got $2,200 deposit and then $2,200 first month. There's 4,400 gone. Now, if they have pets, 6 years ago, if you had pets, they would charge one fee of maybe $250 and no pet rent. Well, because rents aren't going up and pets are frequently available, it's an easy way to raise rent without raising rent. So now these rental companies are charging up to $500 per pet deposit, and then another 20 to 40 per pet monthly rent, which is ridiculous, right? The pet, I mean, it's like charging extra rent for your children. It's just, they can't live there without you, right? So that's ridiculous. The pet can't live there without you, and your kid can't live there without you. So you're looking at, now remember, this particular family had 5 pets. That's $2,500. So 49, so we're talking for $6,900. That's before we get to the key fee of usually $150, admin fee, which usually they won't waive, of $125 to $195. Your cleaning fee anywhere from $350 to $500. And I know military are very clean, but life happens. We have kids, we have dogs. Caleb's like, yep, we have kids, we have dogs. And I'd love to say they're going to get their deposit back, but things happen. And Vegas doesn't have much carpet on the floor, so you're really probably not going to lose your deposit because of trash carpet, but you could lose your deposit. So that money's gone. That $7,000 is gone. So if I can show them how to get into a home while I'm going through the rental I'm showing them the rentals, all this, I can get them into a home with 0 down. Oh, and by the way, their earnest money, 3,000 to 4,000, is half of what they're going to put into their rental, right? Half.
Yeah.
And they're going to get it back at closing. Now I go, let's just pretend like Colorado Springs, Colorado is tanking in prices right now, tanking. So I'm like, okay, now it gets even better because you can buy a house in, say, for example, Colorado Springs at the lowest price in probably 20 years. And let's just say it stabilizes.
Yeah.
Let's say it even goes down a little bit. If you're there 4 years, that money, you at least, and sometimes with military, if they purchase from me and it's a possible break-even point, I'll agree to negotiate my listing commission, right? Because I want to take care of the military. And we have today's business because we don't have future business. We may not have, they may keep it as a rental, right? And unfortunately, we lose touch with our clients. And so the beautiful thing with military is their phone number usually stays the same for where they enlist at, which I love, right? You see the phone and you're like, oh my God, you're from Georgia. Or, oh my God, you're from Tennessee. It's so cool. And they're like, how did you know that? Whoop, whoop, again, because I help military all the time. So it's really cool when I get like a 719 number and I'm 970 because I'm from Colorado, but I'm from Fort Collins area. Anyway, moving right along. When I did the math for one of my gentlemen, he rented for a year. He was going to rent for a second year. I did the math again. Him and his best friend and myself, we talked him into buying something because his best friend bought something. He talked his best friend into buying something, but he wasn't going to buy. And so I showed him how no matter what, you will walk away with $5,000 minimum versus 0, if not negative, if you don't get your deposit back. Now he'll get his deposit back. He's wicked clean, but I swear you could eat off the bottom of his shoe. I'm not kidding you. But anyway, I said, I guarantee, and I know we're not supposed to say that, but I promise you, watching even in Nevada with prices flattening, we still have a minimum of 4% equity gain right now. Some of our areas are still 12% equity gain. So I'm like, yeah, it's insane. Oh, when I moved here, you had some areas at 28% equity gain a year from 21, 22. It was stupid insane, right? Melissa's like, yep, I saw that happen too. So anyway, I did a normal, because if anybody's done, has anybody here done, show Caleb with a thumbs up, has anybody ever done or familiar with a reverse mortgage? Okay, so a reverse mortgage is an
yes,
FHA
I am. Woo, those are
okay, cool. Oh, I love them. So basically, but it's an FHA backed program, but what they do is they build in a 4% equity gain. So, yep, from the pre-foreclosure side. Thanks, Joe. So if they're building if FHA, which is also government loan like the VA, if they're building in a 4% equity gain on their reverse mortgages, then we can feel pretty safe that you're probably going to break even, if not get a 2% equity gain. You may not get 14, but you're going to break even. And if that's the case, and so let's say, you know, they gain equity to offset closing costs on the sales side, commissions for agents and your title and all this kind of stuff, right? Then they walk away, they're not upside down $7,000. They're at least whole, right? They come in at 0 and they might leave at 0, but they're not leaving upside down. 7,000 didn't come out of their pocket. So it's, and when I tell them, I'm like, what could $7,000 do for your family? And they're like, oh my God. And now what if you made $7,000 in the next 4 years? What if you made $7,000 in the next 4 years to take to your next location? And so the gentleman that I talked to, his first name's Aaron, took me, like I said, the second year. He was so precious. So on year 1, I cannot make this up. I sent him the CMA. Does anybody want to guess what he made in 1 year in Vegas? Let's see, he bought in 2023. No, 2024.
I know a lot of it was built around then. I'd say 20 grand.
36,000.
Holy shit.
36. So, but you're right at 20, because if you figure commissions in that, right? Yeah. So I sent that to him. I sent him physical proof on his anniversary at 1 year. And that's pretty much like, you're giving me chills, Caleb, the way you're shaking your head. And that's what he was like, come on. I go, Aaron, open the email. Like it's there. He's really good at sending me cookies and making me fat. So he sent me more like really delicious fat, those cookies that are like this, So all of a sudden he does have my home address for that because he's like, I have something to send you. Can I have your home address? I'm like, fine. So I got more cookies. I'm like, no, I won't be able to get out of my car to sell you, to sell your house. Anyway, and he's my biggest advocate. He sends me a ton of people because in this case, I felt comfortable enough that I pushed like a brother, right? Or a son. He's much younger. So a son, and we're foodies. So we talk about food all the time. So I'm like, all right, son, are we ready? But yeah, 36,000 in 1 year. So now you have those wins. I'm not going to say stories. They're wins. They're wins. And so that's why if you can talk to them, about their LES, and and I'm glad Joe brought that up, that you look at the top right, because if you understand, one military gentleman broke it down for me with 2 married people, and because they had a child, right? So you have your dependents and the money, I want to say, and he was a pilot. It was something, I think their non-taxable income was something stupid, like $95,000 combined a year. Oh yeah, it was insane so she was a doctor, he was a pilot. So because of their rank, because of their years of service, he was close to retiring, plus the dependent pay, right? Plus he had some, anyway, I'm like, oh my Lordy. That's when you go, why didn't I join the military? Oh yeah, I would have been kicked out. Dishonorably discharged. Yeah, Melissa's like, so I'm going to speak for myself, Melissa. My mouth would have gotten me in trouble, right? Melissa's like, I'm right.
My daughter can attest. Mine would have too. Absolutely, 1,000%. I have my daddy's mouth.
That's what happened to me. I got out before they got me, though, Michelle. I was like, you know what? That early out program came. I got right in it. I said, it's either me or them, and it ain't going to be me. So I'm going to get out.
I see your name is Vet Homes. What's your first name, hon?
Marquina.
Malakita?
Marquina Williams.
Marquina. Oh, that's gorgeous. Thank you, Marquina.
Really
yes,
cool.
You're like, I don't want to be dishonorable, so get me out.
And I'm from Boston. Yeah, and I'm from Boston. I'm talking about, I got in trouble how many times, and I was still just in my first year. I think I went to the captain twice.
I heard the Boston. I heard that Boston when you said you were from.
Yeah, and I think just before I was getting out in the early out program, I think I got in trouble. I think 2 weeks before that, it was horrible, and it was all because of my mouth. It was just because I just was like, I felt I should be able to defend myself. Nah, hey,
They don't care.
they work in the military.
I told my son, before you go off, you call me or you call your sister, and then you just, whatever you want to say, you say it to mom or you say it to sis, but don't you dare say it to a commander. And we got a lot of phone calls.
Yeah.
Man, I got dropped.
Mom, I'm at the bus stop. Can you come get me?
Shoot, in boot camp. Hold up. In boot camp, I got dropped on my 7th week, 5th day.
No.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So you know how many push-ups that was, right? It was so bad. I was known in boot camp. I was known in boot camp. They told me I wasn't going to last 2 weeks, and I wasn't even there for 24 hours. And then, it was horrible. In boot camp, the first day was not a happy camper for them or me. I was like, y'all should have just left me alone. I wasn't bothering nobody, but I kind of snapped on one of the company commanders because the way they cut my hair, I was so sad. And they asked me why I was crying, and all the lack of sleep and all the other stuff I went through, it just went all on her. And she said I wasn't going to last 2 weeks. And then they end up putting me in her company. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to die.
That's awesome. Speaking about the LES again, don't forget, when you talk to these people, ask them what rank and if they're enlisted or officer. Because when you're looking up, I know we brought in the very beginning on Google. So if you're looking up your current city, you need to know that. It's huge, right? Whether you're enlisted or you're an officer. I know I was looking, it should be on the top right there. Joe knows it really well too. Years of service is up there, branch.
Is it grade or no? No, I don't think that is.
No, I don't think it's blacked out. I know it's on here, but I'm having a hard time finding it right at this second because
it should be the grade. It should be the grade.
Like, E
Yeah,
is
that
for
grade
enlisted.
right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
O is for
Something it looks
officer,
like.
E is enlisted.
correct.
It's
Yes,
half the
thank you.
process. When you pull up your BAH tables or you look at it, you're going to look at it by zip code. A lot of times that it's like Naval Station Norfolk is in Norfolk, but if you have a Virginia Beach zip code, you actually have a small little bump in your BAH. It's not much, but when you get into Army bases, like I'm over here at Fort Knox. If they use a Fort Knox zip code, they're going to get one BAH, but if they use the zip code for Louisville, Kentucky, their BAH is going to go up. So that's up to the service member to understand that. But for us, you just go by zip code and then you go by their pay grade.
Yep.
And then the next one is whether they have dependents or not.
Yep, the dependents too is huge. Correct. Yes. Thank you, Joe. I knew you would have good input on that. So
I'm a retired Navy chief. I should know all this stuff.
You should, but not everybody does. Oh, there it is. Great. Okay, right there. E2, right there. Yep. Okay, Caleb found it for us. Yes, right by the Social Security, E2. And then, yeah, it doesn't, and for us, I mean, Google it with chat now, whether you use Gemini or Claude or, Chat, Grok, whoever it is you use, I bet you money that what Joe said, we could probably put in that zip code and see. I don't know that Vegas does. I think we're pretty consistent. Here's the other thing. This is huge, and most military don't even know this. I promise you people, this is probably the most huge thing I can tell you today. And that is in November, the military sends out a questionnaire to their active military, and it asks for their living expenses. They need to know what they're paying in rent and rations. And if the military members do not fill it out, they will not get a pay raise for their BAH and their BAS. It is critical. And most military members don't know to look for it, or they don't fill it out, or they say they don't have time. And then they're the first to complain that when rents go up, their pay is not going up with it. And it's not, military is not civilian, right? They have to depend on, which they have so many branches. I don't know why they can't just do their research. All they have to do is call real estate agents, or I hate to say it, go on. Oh yeah. So Joe just gave an example of if you looked it up for what it was for an enlisted. So, but they don't understand this. And then they're complaining that, oh my God, rents went up and our BAH. No. The reason why your BAH didn't go up for that city is because you didn't fill out the form. So a really great way for us to reach back out to our military is, like, say September, October, start sending them video texts, start posting on your social media, start making actual phone calls. Pick up your phone and say, look for your email. You must fill that out if you want to raise next year. That's what your military goes off of, is their survey that they send out in November. So how many people knew about that?
I did not know about that.
I didn't know about that at all. I could have been losing
Yep,
out
and
on
most
these
don't.
raises.
Yep, it's crazy, and it comes out in November, every November. So if people aren't getting it, ask them to ask their commanders, their white shirts, whatever, but they all get it. And they have to fill that out. Say, if you want a pay raise, this is the only way you're going to get it. You have to fill out that survey. All the bitching in the world isn't going to do you any good. So
It's
Melissa's
called the
talking
cost
to
of living allowance.
what's that, Antoinette?
Survey. It's called the cost of living allowance survey.
Ah, see? So, yay, she knew. Woohoo. Wait, I have to write. I didn't even know that. Cost of living allowance.
Only time I saw that happen when I was a first sergeant, and the base wanted to get more funding for barracks. So they told everybody start filling out that survey. That's how I found out about it, because they wanted like money too to fix barracks. And then they started talking about family members that lived in housing and stuff like that. So
Yep.
that's how that came about.
That's
So
crazy.
somebody just asked, they asked, it doesn't mean that it's not automatic anymore. No, that's not what that means. What it means is if you want your military to know, so, okay, some of it's automatic, but so for example, let's say your BAH goes from 2,200 to 2,300, but rents in that area are going from 2,200 to 2,600. You might get the automatic, but you're not going to get the bump. Yeah, vets are different. You're not going to get that current BAH bump unless you fill out that survey, because the military is not going to overpay you. They don't pay you to be rich, right? They pay you for your service. Unfortunately, I think you guys, again, don't get me started on my soapbox, military, fire, police, right? They should be paid more than us, and here we are. So, but I love my job. Don't take away my pay, right? Don't take away my pay. But anyway, no, it's not. Some of it's automatic, but if they want the true bump, they have to send in what they're spending. So our rents may not be going up as much, but our food costs, everybody's food costs, right? And I don't even know, an orange is what, $1.50 now, and they're disgusting. So the only way the military can gauge that, because you got to remember, again, no disrespect, but they're fat cats sitting in offices. They have no idea what they're going through. And especially if they're officers and they're high grade, right? They're 05 or something. They're probably doing just fine, especially if they have a spouse that's working and their kids are grown, because they've been in the military, 15 to 20 years. But these kids that are starting out, if they're just enlisted or they're E1s, they're living on pennies, and that's why a lot of them are on base, and so they don't have to worry about it. But that's the only way you're going to get them the most help you can, is if they fill. And it's a survey, it's free. Just fill out the survey, because they might say, oh, I've had this happen. Oh, we've always lived on base. We don't care. Oh, you'll care if you get, so for example, Nellis, we're out of base housing. There is no more base housing. They have to live off base, unless you happen to be lucky, right, when one of those influxes. But they're maxed out. It doesn't exist. So it's like, okay, that's great. You've always lived in Hawaii. I saw is another one that if they start maxing out, or if you want to be closer kind of thing, it's super expensive in Hawaii, right? So the only way you're going to be offset in those fees is if they fill out cost of living allowance survey that comes out in November. So if you start reminding them in September, October, Mary just said JBLM has a wait for on-base housing. So that's where we become critical. They need us, right? They need us, and they don't know our market. And so hopefully this helps you guys secure, a really good rental or a loan that you can, if you have a new lender, they're all teachable. So any questions? I do have one more tip for you guys. Any more questions on this stuff?
Yeah, drop them in the chat, guys. Michelle, thank you so much for diving into this. And guys, thanks for putting that input in there so we could really, dive in deep and dissect this, right? Because there's a few things I didn't even know.
Yep. So I guess the biggest takeaway.
What would you?
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna just ask Michelle. You said you would put that on social media. What would you say on social media? Would you just ask the question and then have them respond to you in the comments?
No, I would be. So in September, I'd be like, hey, guess what? All my active military members, I want to protect your PCS dollars. Make sure you watch out. You're going to get a survey around November for a cost of living allowance survey. Make sure you fill it out. It's critical because it allows for possible extra pay increases that you wouldn't normally get in your area. That's it.
Oh, okay.
Great way to break it down.
Yeah. And then that way, and you can say, type, if you're on Instagram, type ask for more information. And then if they type ask, then you can set up that, mini chat and chat back and forth. And maybe we can have Caleb go into that later on how that can work through Instagram. But you can say, if you want to know more about this, or if you're new, you could even do a post that says, hey, if you're if you're new military, or if you're recently enlisted, you get this really confusing form called an LES. What is an LES? Basically, it's like your W-2, because a lot of these kids had jobs at 15, right? They know what a W-2 is. They know what a pay stub is. Hey, it's your military version of your pay stub. because there's like 400 or 800 categories on here. If you want to learn how to look at what you're making, call me and I can help walk you through it. And even if you have to sit down with a lender who's really good at VA, then sit down with a lender with your client, and you could have a future renter, purchaser, and especially like Mary said, their base is full. So if the best gift we can give them is, so another thing is I've heard that, and we've got 5 minutes. So another thing I've heard from a lot of military, and I know Joe is one of our vets. So a lot of military say they were never even told about the fact that they have VA loans, right? That they can buy for no money down, all this. And then I hear other military say, oh yeah, they tell us, but they tell us the last 2 minutes is they're pushing us out the door as soon as, we're out. And it's just too much information because you're going through all these military documents, right? And it's just overwhelming. Or they tell you right in the beginning, and like Makina's saying, you're so emotional, and she didn't say this, but I'm guessing you're homesick, you're exhausted, you're tired, you got to keep your mouth shut, right? You got to just do what you're told, and you're overwhelmed. And if they tell you you can buy a home with no money down, I wouldn't hear that. If you were blabbing all this stuff at me and I'm filling out 5,000 forms, right, of what my blood type is in the morning, in the evening, in the afternoon, my temperature, you don't remember it. So that's where we come in going, hey, don't forget, you've got a 401k type, because again, if they're enlisted, not Joe's level, but if they're enlisted, they don't understand that they have a 401k type situation and what it's called, and that is your TSP, right? Or somebody was I think it was either Makina or Antoinette that brought up the advanced debt. So, hey, you can get a loan to PCS. You don't have to ask your family and your parents, but you're going to pay it back. So if it's easier to ask your family or parents, and then that's where we come in and go, and hey, guess what? If you buy, you don't even have to get that money because you don't need $7,000, right? Oh, Joe's got his hand raised.
Yeah, Michelle. So I think the best way to explain it is they're not leaving it out. It's all being taught. But if you think about it this way, you're trying to drink from a fire hose. Yeah. There's so much information coming at you. You're only going to catch some of it. So it's out there and people are told, but they're not educated on it. So that's right. Just drink it through a fire hose. That's all it is. And it's too much for a person to know when they've never heard it before.
Yep.
Exactly. I think Joe put it perfectly. They're being told, but they're not being educated. And there is a distinction between the two.
And it doesn't matter until it matters, right? Even when we've got clients buying a house or selling a house, like for example, I know we've got 3 minutes. So for example, when you go and you look at, you're pre-listing the home and nobody looks up, think about this. Next time you go to a home to see it, nobody looks up. So ceiling fans are usually filthy. Especially like Vegas doesn't, believe it or not, we get tarantulas, but we don't have like spider webs like Colorado and stuff does. But if you look up, at the front door and you've got all those fuzzies and you got the spider webs, it takes a minute to take a broom and brush those down. Or if you've got a vacuum, go out there and vacuum them up or spray them off. Nobody looks up, right? So it's kind of like, it doesn't matter till it matters. So can they buy a home? Yeah, but right now they're going through basic training living on base. It doesn't matter if they can buy a home. That's the last thing on their mind. Same with inspections. If you've got buyers, they're going through, they're looking at, they're loving the home. They don't care how old the hot water heater is today, because if the floor plan doesn't work, so you can tell them about inspections till you turn purple, right? But until you're doing the inspection, everything you said, you're like, well, they didn't listen. It didn't matter. It didn't matter until it matters. I think somebody else had their hand raised. They went away. Somebody else had their hand raised.
That was me. Hi, I'm Scott. I spent 25 years in the Army, and really what I was going to say is, all that information is given, but the military, whatever branch, is not there to brief you on how to get out. It's there to brief you on how to do your job while in the Army, or in the military, right? So as then service members go through these processes it's a very baseline procedure that they'll follow to give you these entitlements and in all of these things, but it's ultimately, on that individual person to learn more. you know, and to use the outside resources. Just like as I was transitioning out of the Army, like I'm not going to take the advice of the people that are still in because they, you know, they haven't done it, right? So I'm going to go find my network of people that have done that process, have done that, looked up VA, what are my entitlements, things like that, and able to take that process. And so that's just kind of keep that frame of mind, you know, for that as you're talking that, yeah, they may know, but yeah, they've been told, but they need to know these resources and get to these resources and find them in order to find that best answer.
No, that's perfect because even so when Makina said she took the early retirement, I had a situation, and I know we have, oh, it's 10 o'clock, so I'll keep it quick. Anyway, had a situation where they accepted that early retirement, you know, a couple months ago, 6 months ago, and paperwork hadn't come through because we had the government shutdown and all this. We had some closings that almost didn't close. So what you said, Scott, is perfect. I mean, I love the blips, the bumps in the road, because it gives me the experience to help our military, right? But if we haven't gone to those people who have separated, who have transitioned out, or you know, these kinds of things, or even the TDY stuff, you know what I mean? If somebody hasn't done TDY, they don't know. Because when I hear about like the credit card points you guys get when somebody TDYs because you're 10 months, you know, they have you put on your credit card for 10 months. It's insane. So the more questions we can ask, even if we were in the military, kind of what Scott said, ask the people that have done it, not the people who are giving you advice about it. Ask the people who've done it. That's like huge. One last thing, and maybe Caleb, I don't know if you've had a class on this, but if anybody doesn't know, when your buyers, when your purchasers go to purchase, and especially in our markets right now, and let's say they, you know, for closing costs, let's just say percentage wise, their percentage is 2.5%. You can ask the seller for up to 4%, kind of up to 6%, but that's a whole nother conversation. We'll say 4 for argument's sake. You can ask the seller for up to 4% and pay off debts. Did you all know that? Caleb knows that.
Yeah.
Yep.
We had a lender over probably 2 sessions ago, and that was one of the biggest light bulbs that went off for a lot of people because they didn't know. Like I had a client personally, they had one of their cars paid off. Yep.
It just has to be paid to 0. So if the seller can't cover it, but hell, if you're going to pay off my car and I owe $600 at closing, I'll do it. But the cool part is, so this goes for new builds too, you guys. So we have a lot of new builds going on in Vegas. Example, I'm running out of time here. It's 10:02. Okay, so super quick example. New build, the gal, we'll use Aaron again. It wasn't Aaron. So anyway, Aaron, it was $76 too much for payment. That he was we'll call her Mary. So, oh no, we'll call her Michelle because we have a Mary. So anyway, I'm Michelle. So Michelle didn't want to pay that extra it was $76 extra in house payment. It was a little over her budget. She was uncomfortable. So I'm on the phone with both the buyer and the lender, and I said, hey, I've got some questions. I said, Michelle, I'm going to ask some questions to the lender. I'm going to go really fast. If I'm not a complete idiot, I'll slow down and explain it to you, or I'll let the lender do it. And if I know what I'm talking about, then we got you covered. She's like, okay. So I asked the lender, I said, all right, we've got this much money and this and that and the other. Do we have enough money in the closing costs from the new build? Can we pay? Did we have a credit card that we could pay off that would offset it? He says, yeah, we have a Discover for $3,000 that would lower payment by, it was like $196 that Discover payment would go away. So not only did we pay off a $3,000 Discover card, so we made her DTI better. We got rid of a $200 a month Discover bill. And so now her $76 a month housing bill doesn't look so bad, right? Because it's gaining equity. So when I explained all this to her, I slowed down and he's like, oh my God, I forgot. They forget. They forget, because I've been told by lenders it is the easiest loan. It's like the easiest loan since sliced bread. So they get complacent. That's where we come in as PCS professionals and military professionals, is we remind them, thank you, Alicia. We remind them that these things can be done. So not only did she get a home, but then I reminded her too, you have to control that Discover, because if you charge it up again, you're going to be where you were today. You have to control that, right? Anyway, so I think Jerome has a question.
Yeah, Jerome, kick it to us.
No, I don't have a question. I just went on the contract 3 days ago using the same tactics. The lender helped me out. The client got $12,500 for seller credits, and then we use the other 2% that you was talking about equals 6 on the points. Use 2% on points. So I paid off credit card, all closing costs, pretty much everything. He walking away with like $2,500 to pay off some credit card bills. So yeah, when I learned about that, the lender helped me, and I'm like, oh yeah, and that was it.
Yeah, that's a win right there.
Yeah.
Think about it.
That's a 10-star review.
What, 12.9%, and Vegas has no usury laws. So they can go up to 38.9% in Vegas, almost 50%. And yeah, some states have no usury laws. And so you look at, let's say your interest rate, VA's not at 6.3, but let's just say it's 7.5 for housing interest rate. That's nothing. Bye, Joe. Thank you. It's still nothing compared to a 12 to 39% credit card, right?
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
And we give them a new start. Thanks, Melissa.
But that's one of the biggest things that I love to utilize about the VA loan, especially when we're dealing with younger military, right? That may have made some crazy decisions with a credit card or this, that, another, and they want to use their benefits. And then we get to tell them, like, you do get a little bit of a fresh start and a new home.
Yep, right. It's so because new builds will do it. People think, oh no, new builds are this, that, and the other. Closing costs are closing costs, and they can be used however, as long as it fits in their legal box, they can be used however, right? And so I'm glad you have the lender on. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Michelle, thank you so much for round 2. Today, this explaining the LES statement. I am dropping Michelle's Facebook information in the chat. Go add her as a friend. Pick her brain if you have any questions. Like I said, man, she has decades of knowledge in this subject. Okay, when we talk about being a master at the VA loan and just working with military personnel, Michelle is that master. Okay. So feel free to add her. This will not be the last time you see her. Michelle, thank you so much for your time today. I know it's super early over there, so you're really a trooper for that. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Mwah, I love you all. This is awesome.
Guys, we do this every single Tuesday. Okay. Now, one thing I want to say to you guys is if you feel like you have knowledge in a certain aspect of this business we call real estate, let's talk about it. If you feel comfortable enough to kind of share with the class, it doesn't necessarily have to be you speaking for a whole hour. We can set up a panel and really talk about, what it's like in a day-to-day working with our military personnel. I'd love to involve you guys a lot more. So I am opening that invitation to you guys. I would love to have us on here and having these bigger conversations about how we can really not only push EXP MilNet, but really leave a decent footprint with our military personnel and how we're working with them. But once again, every Tuesday, guys, we will be here. The Google link is always the same. I can't wait to see your beautiful faces next Tuesday, okay? Y'all have a blessed week. Y'all close some deals, and y'all have a great one, okay?
Bye.
Hey, Caleb.
Thanks for having me.
Yep. What's up?
Let me ask you a quick question. A couple of weeks ago, you had someone on here talking about some access to VA stuff that was going through us first. Do you still have that information?
Yeah, I do. And
I just lost my just over broke today, so I got more time to do stuff. So I want to look into that. And I've kind of forgot the information since then. So
no, you're fine. It's on that. It's on the YouTube. I'll copy it and paste it in here really quick.
Thanks for reminding me. I keep forgetting. Go to the YouTube page. Okay.
I appreciate the views.
Yeah, and I always tap you in every time I go in there, but I just need to make sure I have that in my algorithm a little bit more now. All right.
I'm getting that link for you right now. Hold on.
All right, perfect.
Let's see.
I've been thinking about that ever since. I'm like, man, I gotta get some time so I can do my business. So now I got more time in the world.
All right, I just sent all the links in there for that one.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh yeah. And guys, what I just sent in the chat is some resources from a previous conversation we had with a lender, Jason Steer. That conversation was this year's changes to the VA loan. I'm gonna drop the YouTube link in the chat as well. That is a really good mastermind, guys. I really do recommend y'all check that one out, especially if you're on a long car ride on the way to a showing. You got some free time to decompress. Check it out. Pretty good.
Does he cover the new VA regulations for appraisals? How they're not, he does? Okay, cool. Thank you.
Oh yeah, he dove in deep. I'm saying because I've been keeping track because I know there's been a couple new ones this year, and but he was talking about some stuff I didn't even hear of. So it was really good. It was really, really good. But guys, y'all have a blessed one. If y'all need anything at all, never hesitate to reach out, and please take me up on that invitation to speak. Okay, let's hop on here. Let's talk about some of the things you got going on in your business. Okay, but until next Tuesday, y'all have a great one.